All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Eco Art Extravaganza. So excited that you all are here. My name is Rosina. I'm the founder and director of EcoLogic. And for those of you who may not know, EcoLogic is a relatively new nonprofit organization, and we work to inspire environmental action through education, art, and community. We believe that there is something for everyone in this movement, and we have programs for the youth, for adults, and we encourage people to take action in ways that are accessible for them. So we know that climate change is here. Sadly, we do not have to look far to see the impacts. Just this week, millions of people in Puerto Rico were left without power as a result of Hurricane Fiona, which came just a few years after Hurricane Maria devastated the island. And these are events that should be occurring once every 100 years, but sadly, they are becoming much more frequent, much more intense. And Puerto Rico is just one example. Some of you may have seen the extreme flooding that happened in Pakistan. There are droughts happening throughout the Southwest, heat waves. We keep breaking temperature records, and this is just the reality. This is something that we are going to have to cope with. And so this is where we think that education is so important, because we need to learn about the issues and we need to be able to understand how we can adapt to the realities that we are facing. There's also a tremendous role for the arts. We need to envision a better future. We need to think creatively about solutions. And so that's why at EcoLogic, we really value and lean into the arts. And finally, community, we think is not only important, we think it's crucial to building resilience, to staying committed. What we're seeing in these places that are devastated by climate impacts is that those who are able to adapt, those who are able to be a little bit more resilient, are ones that have social networks, strong social networks in place, that have communities. And so it is really important that we cultivate community. It's important that we stay connected, because as an individual, there's only so much you can do, but as a collective, we can have so much more power into shaping our future. So these are our three pillars that EcoLogic stands on, which is arts, community, and education. As I mentioned, there is a tremendous role for the arts in this movement, but for EcoLogic, this is particularly special because we started EcoLogic with the production of a play, a climate comedy that some of you saw, called Love in the Time of Climate Change. We performed this in 2019 and then again in 2020, right before the pandemic. And we received so much positive feedback that indicated that there is a need in this movement. There is a need for environmental programming that utilizes creativity, that is entertaining, and that invites people to take action in ways that are available to them. So we really work to infuse arts into our programming. We want to make sure that we're thinking creatively about environmental issues and the climate crisis. So it is Climate Week this week, and we wanted to make sure that we celebrated as well. There are a lot of events taking place in New York, which is where Climate Week started, in conjunction with the UN General Assembly, but we wanted to culminate our Eco Art fundraiser today during Climate Week. So just want to thank you all again for joining us tonight for this event. And just a note about this event, this was an idea that we had. We thought we would try it out, an Eco Art fundraiser. We weren't quite sure what the response is, and we were just so blown away by the incredible artwork that was submitted. So thank you to all of the artists, and thank you for all of you who bid on artwork. This is something that, we might do in the future, so we would love to hear your feedback on this program. So with that, I want to introduce our performer. I'm so excited and happy to introduce my good friend and talented musician, Ranjani Prabhakar, who is the lead singer of the indie pop band Lil Italy. Their compelling and soulful style seamlessly weaves together a unified sound, reflecting their hybrid cultural roots and artistic identities. They have a knack for exploratory and textural soundscapes as they gently ask us, why are we here and what do we owe one another on a warming planet? So Ranjani, I'm going to spotlight you. I'm so excited, and go ahead and take it away.
When you left, crazy things happened. I don't know if it was just me or if change was rapid. It wasn't howling, but no trees did sway. Leaves, they were falling, but they'd hit the ground like rooted. 'Cause the earth is around you, without me. So why can't you just let the earth be? No bird said I was left to do everything when I was hurting. Love is allergic to you without me. So why can't you just stay? The earth is allergic. It ain't like me. It won't wait. All right. Thank you so much. It took me a minute to figure out how to stop sharing my screen. Um, Thank you for being on this journey of going through our music video and having me sing live. I really enjoy doing this, even in these times where we're virtual. It's so great to be able to still connect over music and art. And I'll pass it back to Rosina to continue our program.
Thank you so much. I don't know if you saw the little emojis popping up, and you can look at the chat. Just so much appreciation for your art. So thank you for sharing that with us. So now what we want to do is hear from some of the artists that submitted artwork into our gallery. So we will start with Amanda, and then Jennifer, Crystal, Noreen, and then Shadi. So if any of you need me to make you co-host, if you want to share your screen, you're welcome to do that, but I'll go ahead and spotlight Amanda to start.
I have to apologize. We are, well, talking about climate change. Fiona is on her way up to the east coast of Canada, where I'm based right now. And so I am right now staying in an off-grid cabin, and we are in power saving mode. So there's just audio visual capacities that I'm not going to be able to share. So maybe I can just talk a little bit about what it is that I do and why. So by the way, I loved seeing the gallery, just the art there, just so diverse and amazing. It's just really, really lovely to feel connected with a group of artists that all really care about, how can we make our creative expression impactful and meaningful in a way that the time that we're living in really demands it. I'm based on Mi'kmaq territory in the east coast of Canada, and I've been an artist, I think, on and off for my whole life. And I think that, I'm really still very much in that question, as maybe many of you are, around what is the power of art, and how does it do more than just give people a feeling of inspiration in the moment, and how can we engage art in service of actual systems change? And so I'm just really curious about that. And any of the other artists that are going to be here tonight will be speaking to that. But it's a question that I feel like I want to live the answers to, and I'm just really curious about what other folks are, how other folks are thinking about this. Right now, my work is I can pop the link to my work in the chat, actually, but it's amandasuteri.com. That will give you some idea of the kind of work that I do. I paint and I illustrate, and I have done some illustrations for kids' books in the past. And I noticed that when I'm just creating paintings just on their own, it's not enough. I actually want to be collaborating with other artists, like impact storytellers of various kinds, or collaborating with people who are writing. I've created a lot of flyers for various events related to social change, and I've loved doing sort of education around outreach and educating the public about various issues and how they can contribute. Right now, where I live, there's I don't know if this happens in your area, but in the fall season, the forestry industry around here sprays glyphosate from helicopters onto forests, onto their land, to kill off the hardwood trees, because apparently the hardwood is it's not a commercial product for the forestry industry. But that means that you're making like all softwood forests, which are very like monocultures, which are extremely vulnerable to pests and especially to wildfires. They actually burn hotter, they're harder to control. Hardwood trees are fire retardant. So I've been actually using my art to create flyers and to raise awareness. So one of the things I was doing was just choosing different species like the monarch butterfly. I love Carrie Ziegler. I love your monarchs, and like frogs and birds, and just saying, "Don't spray me," and just using those images as, because I think people really resonate with animals, and so I'm still really in that question around, how do I make my art as meaningful and relevant to the times that we're living in today? It just doesn't seem like enough anymore just to, for me, just to be creating beautiful visual imagery, as much as we all need that as well to feed our souls. But that isn't quite satisfying me, and I'm still very much in the process of that. So yep, please check out my website, and thanks so much for listening.
Great. Thank you so much, Amanda. That was beautiful. And yeah, I think you asked a really good question, like how can our work be in service of this system change that we're working towards? So Amanda's got some beautiful art pieces in our gallery, so be sure to check them out. Thank you so much, Amanda, for joining us. We hope you stay safe from the storm that's on its way. Jennifer, I'm going to go ahead and spotlight you.
Okay, awesome. This is my painting. I Am Home Again. And it was inspired by a period in my life where I felt like the only place that I call my home really was nature, because nature is one of those kind of places where if you go into the forest and you feel low, you get out feeling higher than the trees. It's like a quote like that somewhere. And I think that's very powerful, and it enforces the statement that that we are part of nature, and we have a connection with nature as human beings. And it's very powerful statement, because oftentimes in a capitalist society, we forget that we are human beings. We get caught up in society, we get caught up in the economy and all that. So it's very important for not only our mental health, but for our overall health that we visit nature here and there. And especially me, my art is based on being inspired by nature, and it highlights every aspect of it. Like, I guess I am a multimedia artist, and one of the things that connects my art all together is because I work with many mediums, is the fact that I work with nature. Like, that's my inspiration. And and if you may ask why, it's mostly because I feel at home in nature, and and that way it makes me feel like it's my job to protect it. It's our job to kind of like make sure that we are doing the best that we can to bring awareness to climate change in whatever way that we can, even if it's through small ways, like sharing on social media things that are happening in the world. And I know it can become a bit overwhelming, but also sharing what can we do about it is very important. And I want to talk a little bit about my art now, even though I just want to add on to the fact that I paint in such a way that is very subtle. Like, the color is not so strong, and that's kind of like on purpose, because I want to transmit peace through people. And like, when they look at my art, I want them to feel the essence of feeling calm when they see my art, because it's just a reflection of nature, really. So I wanted to share this with you guys, and I hope that you can somehow connect with the beauty and the calm vibes that nature gives you in a way. Thank you. I don't know what else, if you guys have any questions real quick, you're more than welcome to ask.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. That is so beautiful. And I think I think you can take a look at the chat. There's some great comments there, but I think you're reminding us of what it is we are working to protect. So thank you so much. So we can move on to Noreen next.
Hi, everyone. My name is Noreen Rahim. I'm a mixed media artist. I'm right now based in Atlanta. And for me, my inspiration is nature. So I hope you guys can hear me. Okay. So my inspiration is nature. So that should define like all my art. Like I love wood, so that's in me. Like everything, like the nature is my inspiration. So I would like to showcase, if I can put on a few of my pieces. I'm just a self-taught artist and trying to establish myself, a full-time artist. So it's just like I have like not been able to do it in the past, but right now I am putting all my time to make. So this is what I put in for this exhibition, and like here I've used it's a preserved moss, and then the trees are that I've showcased here are made is there like wood sticks, preserved wood sticks used in there. I try to use as much possible as all these things around me. So I feel the more we're going into technology, we are which is good. There's a good part of it, that it provides us so much, like we're able to go to Mars, but then at the same time, I think we're losing connection to our Earth where we are, and we are not working as highly we should work to preserve things. Like with technology, we're using so much fuel, and trying to produce fuel and use those. But then on the other side, I feel like whatever you give comes back to you. So you have to take care of your earth and your, like we take care of our home, we need to take care of our earth. And that's how we're gonna get good out of it too. So that's what I feel. And thank you so much.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And it's been just so great already seeing the diversity of art types so far. I want to just take a moment to thank our media partners for this event. So we had the Environmental Voter Project. If you're not familiar with them, look them up. Great organization. They work to turn out the environmental vote with the methodology that our elected representatives respond to what we want, but they're only going to listen if we're voting. And they have access to who is voting and who's not. So they do exit polling. And if people are not ranking the environment as a top issue, they're not going to prioritize that. So a really cool organization actually making change. So I want to thank them. There's also Leaders for Earth. They are a youth-based organization out in California. They do environmental programming. So just want to thank them as well. There is RE Plus. They are currently having a massive conference out in California, so they weren't able to join tonight, but want to thank them for their support with this event. And then finally, Viridescent, we have Chance here, who is going to tell you more about Viridescent and what they do. So Chance, take it away.
Hello, Ecologic Changemakers. My name is Chance Thompson, also known as the Designer, and I am a member of the co-founder team for Viridescent and its Viriverse, our immersive sustainability creation that was born at the tip of a magic quill, wielded by the hero band that would become known as the Vera Vigilantes, also known as your storytellers and mentors. Our mission is to help changemakers unlock a balanced soul and scale positive impact. We imagine a regenerative world. One where the individual lives in a balanced system of self-fulfillment, gratitude for loved ones, resilient communities, equitable economics, and of course, a thriving Earth. But how do we achieve such an ambition in the face of the world's doom and gloom? Well, by writing a different story, one of optimistic resiliency, pulling a silver lining of true change from the shadows of COVID, war, climate change, inequity, injustice, and biodiversity loss. Because this is the story of how you, yes, you, and together we save humanity. So who is this we? Well, it's humans, of course, because nobody's gonna save us if we don't save ourselves. But this is the thing, is that we believe in a sustainable human experience. And that experience lies within your sustainability alter ego. An identity that helps you be the hero that you already are and become the sustainable leader that humanity needs you to be. Which is why we invite you to begin a change-making quest on the path to harnessing your hero. Where we question everything. We bridge the gap between the old world and the new one. We illuminate the darkness while riding the silver linings of life to the steady heartbeat of this most special universe that we live in. So join us as we take a heartfelt stand against the status quo together. It is our great pleasure to support EcoLogic and the changemaker that is the Eco Artist, also known as my dear friend Rosina Canchuala. The movement she has created is special, and the art that we've seen these past weeks from all of you artists, it's inspiring us to quit wasting our time on machine-like business stuff and bring our collective and sustainable world to life through creativity. From the bottom of our hearts, we say thank you, signed with gratitude and an awesome bomb of immersive sustainability in your face. P.S. We do workshops, events, consulting, along with our personal favorite interactive coaching and self-exploration through a world of sustainability comics, quests, and adventures. If you want to travel the Viraverse, shoot me a text on WhatsApp at 801-455-0020. Later, my friends.
Thank you so much, Chance. That was so creative, and thanks for joining despite feeling sick. And for those of you that don't know, Chance and his team led a workshop with one of our camp ecologics, so all the campers left with their own sustainability alter egos. So it was a very cool, fun activity. So thank you so much, Chance. So now, before we do the second half of our spotlights, I am so excited to introduce my friend Kristen Landry, who is going to perform a spoken word piece for us. Kristen is an engineer and a poet with original roots in Colorado and new ones in San Francisco. She enjoys dabbling in writing, singing, and photography. She loves hikes with friends, adventuring across foreign lands, and eating at new restaurants. Kristen, I'm so excited. She will be performing When I Grow Up. So let me spotlight you and take it away.
Great. Thanks, Rosina. I'm going to do an audio check because this is spoken word. Awesome. Thank you. And I'm going to get rid of me being the biggest thing on my screen. Highly distracting. Great. All right. When I grew up, I wanted to be a singer. but I wasn't living stateside at the time, and you need to get discovered. And besides, I needed my education for when the world got over me and moved on to the next big thing. So I wanted to be a veterinarian when I grew up, but that's more schooling than a human doctor goes through without the pay to show for it. Face it, people are more willing to save their daughters than their dogs. I know a vet. She told me to be an interventional radiologist. They drive robot cameras around inside of you to figure out what's wrong. It's cool stuff. So I wanted to be a surgeon when I grew up, but I can't even be in the blood donation room long enough to give blood without getting woozy. So I wanted to be a biomedical engineer and make robotic prostheses. But I'd had enough of chemistry, and you need a lot of that to get to the point of understanding how to control a robotic arm with brainwaves. So I wanted to be a mechanical engineer. You can do anything with mechanical engineering. I've built a plane, surgical devices, and a solar car. I have a portfolio of projects to show what I can design for people. And now I've decided it's too much math for me, and people are fickle creatures anyway. Now, I want to be part of the green movement. I want to save the planet from humanity because nature asks nothing and gives all she has to offer. Scratch that. We take all we want from the bowels of her existence and expect her to live on. The signs have shown the ice is melting. Mountains are torn down so that we can send more smoke into the air we breathe, and all that oil we bleed like an IV line to our economy ends up in swirling gyres out in the ocean where it's out of sight, out of mind. We just throw things away, but away is where the sun breaks it down into bite-sized pieces where fish and bird alike eat bottle caps instead of plankton because there's more colored candy wrappers than food to go around. I want to save humanity from the forces of nature because as we injure this planet and bruises form in the shape of swaths of shaven rainforests, Mother Nature has tried to warn us of what we deny we do. The deserts of Australia spread out to the shores, and there's more tornadoes now than when Dorothy went to Munchkin Land. You can tell me every year that this winter was worse than last, but I know better than to think that global warming means longer summers for everyone. It's climate change, and whatever weather you have where you are is going to get worse. Whether you believe it's our fault or just another loop in the cycle, we can do better than let the most beautiful and exotic creatures die in the wild or live in our cages. The panda, the tiger, the countless species we don't even know exist yet because we haven't caught them and pinned them to a block of foam in a glass case in a museum to be seen by millions and remembered by none. I want to save humanity from itself because every baby drinking out of the wrong bottle would be prone to disorders we'll only try to treat the symptoms of with medications. I couldn't possibly stand to work on trying to fix the problem in a hospital when I might have the chance to prevent it from happening in the first place. There are so many things I want to change so that my baby will know the world as blue skies and green grass. I don't want to have to worry about whether they'll be born with a defect because I loved sushi too much. I know I don't know enough yet. So I'm going back to school to learn where I can help to save the world. I haven't figured out how, but I think I know where to start. And I'm not a grown-up yet.
Oh my gosh, that was so amazing. So many snaps all around. Thank you so much, Kristen. That was beautiful. For those of you that don't know, Kristen is a rock star in the clean energy space. So she is on her way doing all the things. Thank you so much for sharing that. That was beautiful.
Poem is from 10 years ago. So that's where I was at that time.
Amazing. All right, well, thank you so much. So next up, we are going to continue with our artist spotlight. So Natasha, you're up.
Thanks so much. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. Hi, everyone. Wow,
Yes.
that is a really, really tough act to follow. That was really beautiful, and just feeling so inspired by all of these different expressions of art, and just looking through this gallery has been really amazing. So thank you all for just everything you do and everything you stand for. For me, art has always been sort of a place to escape. It has been about, if you don't like the reality of what you have around you, you can create something else. It's about the possibilities of what those things are and imagining those, putting those down on paper or wherever you want in the world. As a kid, I got in trouble a lot for my art because I mostly wanted to put Sharpie on walls or use nail polish all over my cabinets and create all kinds of things that were in places maybe that they shouldn't have been, because it was furniture and walls and, you know, not on paper within a canvas or something like that. As I have grown up, I decided that I still needed a place that I could always put my art and always rotate my art. So I created a chalk wall in my house, and that gets to be rotated pretty frequently with all types of things for the seasons, for birthdays. When I was pregnant, I couldn't sleep very much. So it was my wall for insomnia art, as I called it. So I used it as a release, especially in those hours of the night when I couldn't find anything else to do and couldn't find anything else to calm me down. My piece, this time I'll see if you can just, I don't think you can see it here, but it is called Mother Earth Can't Save the World. And it is really thinking about that relationship and that pressure that we put on mothers. What is that, you know, what is the nature of motherhood? What is, who is allowed and who is called a mother? Why do we make the journey so lonely at times when it could be so much more communal? And why do we expect, you know, mothers so often to come forward and, you know, save things without the support that they need? And I think it's similar, you know, when we think about our Earth Mother too, we say, we're going to use all these resources, we're going to extract whatever we want from you. And somehow, you know, we think everything will be okay. So this piece was really just thinking about that connection between all of the different types of mothers that we see in the world, people who, you know, are given that title really easily, people who want that title, people who maybe are given or take that title reluctantly, but just the burden sometimes that we put on it, and a hope for more community and more empowerment around that role, and a more inclusive structure around what it means to be a mother. So that is my piece. And you know, if you're ever doing any insomnia art in the middle of the night, I'd love to connect.
Thank you so much. Your piece is beautiful, your commentary is beautiful, and just so many things about that were amazing. Thank you so much, Natasha. Next up, we've got Carrie Ziegler.
I'm going to change the screen view as well so I can see you all. Thank you so much. We as artists and educators have the power to shape the world. We have the creative power to transform not only our own existence and that of our communities, but to create a ripple of change, which with an impact that grows as the momentum keeps moving outward and gets bigger and bigger and bigger. The Chrysalis series that I have on display in this gallery came out of some really deep work that I was able to do with an organization in my local community, the Thurston Climate Action Team. I began working with them at the very beginning of the pandemic. And like pretty much the rest of the world, we had to completely re-envision how we were going to do our work. And the thing that made us the biggest, the most beautiful impact imaginable was collaborative art. So during this time, our local jurisdictions were going through a process to develop a climate mitigation plan. And the plan that we developed was really amazing and had these really incredible, but also high bar, very ambitious goals. And goals that were a little bit like political suicide for many of the politicians. And so we knew it was going to be a hard sell. Because of this, I worked with youth and other artists and educators and other organizations to create a collaborative art and action project called the Chrysalis Project, Transforming Together. In this project, I met with hundreds of individuals through online workshops. There, we explored this transformative power that art has. We explored the moment we were in, this critical moment with a pandemic at the beginning of a racial reckoning, this moment where we are still continuing to be in a climate crisis. We use the metaphor of what happens when a caterpillar breaks down into the imaginal goo inside of its chrysalis and then comes out as a butterfly to help us to understand what we were going through during this time. We imagined ourselves as butterflies inside of our own individual and societal chrysalides. Together, we envisioned what we wanted to be when we emerged from our chrysalides. Each person who took part in these workshops, they drew or painted or wrote a vision of a future where we would not only survive, but thrive. After drawing their visions, they turned their papers over and they wrote letters to local politicians. In these letters, they talked about where they were at, how they were feeling amidst all of these crises. They told the politicians what they were committing to doing for climate justice. And then they asked, and in many cases demanded, that politicians take strong climate action, that they would pass and implement the Thurston Climate Mitigation Plan. These were powerful calls to action, and they hit politicians on an emotional level, and that is where change happens. At the county commissioner meeting where they were deciding whether or not to pass this plan, one of our county commissioners stood up and pulled from his pocket a letter from the Chrysalis Project. That letter had been written by a high school climate activist. He said that he had been carrying this letter around for months as his guiding light. He then read the letter as his testimony as to why we needed to pass this plan. That night, the county commissioners did pass the plan, and they even took it a step further. In part due to that project, in that very same year of 2020, all 4 of our local jurisdictions passed the Thurston Climate Mitigation Plan, and 3 of them declared a climate emergency. This is why it is so important for me to be working with organizations and local governments, with other artists and educators, because this is what can happen. This is what we can do. You know, this was the second time that a project that I facilitated, an art and action project, helped to change our government. We as artists and educators, we have the power to bring to life this vision that so many of us have of this future where we can thrive. Back in my studio, I was so inspired by the vulnerability and courage that from all of the people that were in the workshops, that I continued my own painting series for the Chrysalis series. This series was all about, transformation, of hope, of the deep work that we are doing. These are many of the paintings that are here today. The other paintings that I have in the gallery today are from my series, Sea Level Rise, The Mother's Tears. And they are an exploration of grief, both my own personal grief and climate grief as a whole. Rosina and everyone at Ecologic Programs, I thank you so much for putting together this event and bringing us here together. And I thank each and every one of you who are showing up as artists and educators, as change makers, because not only does what we do matter, it is absolutely essential. If anybody would like to get in touch with me and talk about potentially working on a project or learn about my mentorship program, I'm putting my info in the chat box there. So thank you all very much and happy equinox.
Thank you so much, Carrie. That was incredibly inspiring and a great reminder of why we do what we do. So thank you so much. And yeah, feel free to share your contact information for others. I don't know if Sivani is here. So next up we have Samantha.
Hey, I'm going one spot earlier, but that's totally cool. And I'll probably share my screen as well. And you guys can see Bizu in the background, my cat. He'll be like jumping around like crazy. So just don't mind him. Well, I guess I'll start with a little intro and I'll show some of the work that you can currently see in the gallery and just talk about it for a second. And I'll try to keep it brief. So my name is Sam. I am an artist based out of Miami, Florida. Rosina and I met in DC, and it's been such a pleasure to see Ecologic progress over all these years. So congratulations on the success that you've had. And yeah, I mean, I've pretty much always been an artist. When I'm not making art, I work for a conservation nonprofit called Nature Serve. So you can check them out if you're curious. We keep track of all like the biodiversity in North America. So it's a great job as well. So let's talk about my work. My work is, for the most part, was very inspired by activist art. So DC was a great place for me to be in that light, because I got to kind of really talk to people about issues that I cared about. And sometimes it was just all about sparking curiosity, right? People might learn something that they didn't know before, they'll look it up, they'll start to care. And I relocated to Miami during the pandemic. So that's a little bit about me. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we'll talk about some of the pieces that are on display in the gallery. If I can do this. All right, cool. So first up, we have a piece that I made a while ago. A lot of this is some of my older work. If you want to check out my new work, I'll put my website in the chat. So this one is called You Burn Our Love, and it was kind of made right at the height of when there was some really bad fires happening in the Amazon, and unfortunately that is still taking place. I did some research when I was doing the description for this piece, and 1.5 or 1,500 square miles have been deforested so far in 2020. That's relatively the size of New York City, or I'm sorry, it's an area 5 times the size of New York City. Excuse me. So it's continuing. So this piece here is representative of an indigenous woman. It's mounted on some really beautiful kind of Himalayan paper, which is just this handmade, beautiful paper, and it's multimedia. And yeah, I think I was just feeling really frustrated. I work in biodiversity conservation. The Amazon is one of the most biodiverse places on the planet. It holds so many things that we don't even know about, and we're just destroying it without even thinking. So it was a little frustrating, and I took it out in my work. Next up, we have a piece called Plastic People. Again, one of my older pieces. I remember, my gosh, working and painting this during my lunch hour for weeks and painting it after work. It took so much time to like kind of put all those colors together. It's one of my like first like pieces post graduating, so it's a little dated, but it's been on display at some pretty big events at the Orlando Museum of Art a handful of times, all around DC, at the museum. So I love it, you know. And so you can see there's a lot of texture going on here, and the name kind of speaks for itself, right? We're learning more and more every day about the microplastics in our body. When this was made, it was kind of when we were first starting to see those reports, and we're just continuing to see the reports, right? So it's pretty wild, like what we are putting into our body, even if we don't know that we're doing it. And yeah, I think this was just a cry for help, I guess, about, you know, for people to think about it a little bit. All right. Next, we have a piece called A Contaminated Network. And so this one, I think I did a couple years ago. The original piece sold, which was great. And so I have a couple prints available. And it's all about our pollinators, right? So you can kind of see the intention of this was like kind of that ombre color with the bees, about they're going from flower to flower, plant to plant, and they carry the pollen with them. So if you spray a pesticide, it's going to get passed on, right? And so that's the idea, that we are all connected. So yeah. Next, we have, this one is a little bit newer. It's Young Jane. So Jane Goodall was a really big inspiration for me. She continues to just do amazing work. And what is pretty interesting here is this piece captures like an iconic photo of Jane, right? When she was 26 years old, she kind of went by herself to Gombe National Park in Tanzania to study the chimps. And she was one of the first scientists to introduce like the study of behavioral animal science. And so a lot of people kind of turned her down, and they were like, you can't do this, you don't know what you're doing. And it ended up being some of her most important work, and it changed the way people like did research. So I think there's so many reasons to find inspiration in Jane Goodall, and this is just kind of like honoring her in that way. So this again is mounted on that really beautiful like Himalayan paper. It's multimedia, mostly watercolor, but there's some like clippings in there as well. And then last up, this is a little different. So I was also a graphic designer back in the day. And this is the third piece in a repeat series. So there's, like I said, 3 pieces for this work. It was made kind of at the height of when we were seeing all of these attacks on the environment, our civil rights, women's rights especially. And so it's kind of like a general call to action, right? Tell them I refuse to stay silent and wait while they decide for us. Use your voice. Like that's what this is all about, right? Get out there, do something, say something, and raise these issues up, because odds are you're going to influence somebody who didn't know about them, or you might change their mind. So it's just kind of like a general call to action. So yeah, I think that that's all the work that I have. You can see a lot of my work again on my site or on my Instagram, so I'll pop that in the chat. And thank you, Rosina, for providing this great platform.
Thank you, Sam. That was incredible. Loved seeing within your artwork how you have some that are, you know, a way for you to express your frustration, some that are, you know, inspiring you, some that are educational, and some that are inspiring others. So thank you so much, Sam. We have 2 more artists. So Mahira, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. You're up, and then Alex.
Hi everyone, my name is Mahira Rahim and I'm a mixed media artist and I'm currently based in Atlanta. And I've been doing art since I was really young and I love exploring all different types of mediums and crafts such as watercolor, calligraphy, any types of arts and crafts. And one aspect of nature that I really like that influences my work is like the bright colors found in nature. I love all the bright colors and I feel like that really influences what I do in my art. So I can share the piece that I have in this gallery. So the piece I created for this is called The Future is in Our Hands. And I really believe that like our future is like within our reach. Like if we really work for it, we can preserve all of the bright colors that we see in our nature. But if we just let it continue the way it's going currently and we don't care about our earth, then it will degrade eventually and we won't be able to see all these bright colors and magnificent occurrences that occur in our nature today. So that was my inspiration for this piece. And lastly, I just want to share a video of some of my, a short video of some of my other art that I have done. And I just wanted to say thank you for providing me with this opportunity to share my art, and I hope to connect with all of you in the future.
Thank you so much for participating. Thank you so much for sharing your art and that video. Such creativity in that household. So thank you both. And last but not least, I'd love to introduce a board member, Alex, who also contributed some art to the gallery. And so Alex, would love to invite you to share a little bit about yourself and your art.
Sure. Thanks, Rosina. So my name is Alex Kashdan, and I actually use Alex Jillian sort of as my artist name. I'm not a professional artist. I actually work in climate science communications, but I've done art as a hobby for basically my entire life. And I'm definitely inspired by nature and environmental themes. So I'll share my screen and talk about the piece I have. Let me see. Actually, my Zoom does not want to let me share my screen, so I'm just gonna pick up my sketchbook. So this will be a lot more low tech than the other presenters, but that's how it is. Okay, so the piece that I have in the auction is called Expuja Mexico. This is what it looks like. Sorry, that's something else. And so this is basically something I drew from a photo I took while visiting Mexico earlier this summer of just like a beautiful plant in like the jungle near where I was staying. The style I use is frequently these like very intricate, what I call doodles. This one is usually I work in pen. This also has some colored pencil. Obviously, like I just thought the colors of this really beautiful and amazing. And also the sort of jungle and rainforest are one of the most threatened ecosystems by climate change. So I thought it fit really well as a theme to pursue for this project. I can also share a couple of my other pieces in here that are related to the environment. I've been on a real snowflake kick for a few years, even like in the middle of summer. So like I just did this one this week. There's some really amazing snowflake photography print, and I've definitely been inspired by that. And sometimes when it's snowing and like a snowflake falls on your coat and it doesn't melt right away, you can actually see like the six lines, and you can see some of the details with your naked eye. And I think that's just like amazing, and just one of those examples of nature being like way cooler than anything we could think of ourselves. That's another one, very different. And then I have a tree in here. Let's see. Similar style. I sort of use this style. I can put it to anything, if that makes sense. I have a chicken. That's same idea, a little more whimsical. So this is what I like to do in my free time, is make intricate doodle drawings, often inspired by nature. And I will post my Instagram in the chat. I have a separate Instagram for my drawings and things like that. So feel free to if you want. Thanks, Rosina.
Amazing. Thank you, Alex. And thank you to all of the artists. Thank you to everyone who attended today. As you can see, there's quite a variety of artwork that was submitted, and even more in our gallery. So there's about 3 hours left to make your final bid. So be sure to check out the gallery before you go to bed tonight. And I don't know about all of you, but I for sure am re-inspired by everyone here, all the performances, the visual art, but the performing arts as well. So thank you to Ranjani and Kristen for sharing your gifts with us. And thank you to everyone. I just think that this event, was an idea, and it's been incredible to see everyone bring their talent, bring their passion to this, because ultimately we are all here striving for the same things. And I think that there is just something to be said about the themes that were brought up, whether it's, frustration that we're expressing, the need to have a creative outlet, the need to express our grief, or to have, something that we love that we're working to protect. Something that we're working to protect together. So I just think that this has been such an important, inspiring night for me. And I just want to thank you all so much for participating and for your support. So we hope that we can do something like this in the future and stay connected, but just want to thank you all so much.